Hello and welcome to Practically Speaking Houston. This is the official podcast of the Public Relations Society of America, Houston chapter. I'm your host, Veronica V. Sofer, and I have the honor of introducing you to some of our incredible members and talking about all the things that we deal with in public relations, advertising, marketing, communications, and all things visibility in the Houston area. So we're going to go ahead and get this episode started. But before we do, let's take care of some housekeeping. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episode of Practically Speaking Houston. And if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, make sure you leave us some comments. We'd love to connect. So let's go ahead and get this episode started. I'm going to introduce the amazing Kristoffer Smith, and he is joining us now. Welcome, Kristoffer.
Hello, Veronica. Thanks for inviting me on to Practically Speaking.
Awesome. We are so excited about our new podcast here for comms pros in the Houston area. And I'm so glad you're one of the first few members getting to be on the podcast. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn more about you. So first and foremost, Kristoffer, how many times do people want to call you Kristoffer? That's the first thing everybody wants to know.
You know, it's all the time. It's Kristoffer or Chris, and honestly, I go by Chris also, but just professionally, Chris Smith is too vanilla. So I always introduce myself as Kristoffer Smith. The Disney movie Frozen has helped a lot for Kristoff, the character.
Yeah.
So add that ER and you got me. So, but yes, Chris is usually fine once people get to know me, but professionally, I have to at least distinguish myself some way.
Yeah, no, I love it. I know. And I always love when we're in a group, and Kristoffer and I know each other, but when we're in a group, when people read your name tag, I see them want to stumble just a little bit and they're not quite sure, you know?
Yes. You know, when you have a complicated name though, I think you get used to it. So you try not to get offended, especially somebody from communications, particularly in my job now, I deal with a lot of unique names. So I beg for forgiveness and I give people that grace. So
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad you're on. So tell us a little bit, Kristoffer, about how you got into communications. Your origin story is a fascinating one, and I'm so excited that our listeners are going to get to hear it.
So yes, I really got into communication. I guess my origin story started in college. I feel like probably most people. I thought I wanted to go into like pre-pharmacy or biology, and then I got into some of those science courses and I realized that was way above my head. So I swiftly changed majors, and really just on a whim, I walked into our campus radio station and I just kind of got hooked. So in college, I ended up having a jazz radio show that I hosted for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, which was pretty daunting just because I was a college basketball player at the same time. So having to do the classes, the practices, and still maintain that radio show. But it was really exciting, and that kind of dipped my toe into media. From there, I kind of shifted into more video production, really because I took a Holocaust films class. And I just found it very interesting, the storytelling aspect of the visuals to go along with that dialogue. And ever since then, I've kind of been hooked. I could go on. I don't know how much you want me to ramble, but for me, my background is so diverse from, teaching, broadcasting, animation, teaching, graphic design, actually doing live events with the Houston Astros and the Houston Dynamo. Rice University, I used to technical direct their live sports for the video boards. And I've been exposed to every element of communications and public relations, and I feel like that's helped me along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And I would agree. You've had your hands in a little bit of everything. And now you're at U of H. So I'm so excited to have people get to know you a little bit more, learn about what you're doing. So as the executive director, what are your responsibilities now? I know you've got a lot of responsibilities. Your title is Executive Director of Communications for the University of Houston of Natural Sciences and Mathematics. And yes, I had to read that from the screen.
Yes. So formerly I had most of my communications training in K through 12 education, but coming over to the university side is similar, but it's different. I feel like being the executive director of communications for the College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, which is, every university has their own colleges, and at University of Houston, all of our colleges have their own communications teams. So we do work with our university level, but my task is really to communicate the messaging of our college. And in my college particularly, it is unique because we have 6 different departments inside of our college. So when you go to mathematics, physics, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, physics, earth and atmospheric sciences, and computer science, we just have so many different subject matters under our umbrella. So for my job is to make sure that I'm telling our very science nuanced message to where the average person at home can understand, which is, it can be very challenging at times because I don't always understand. But my biggest thing
Yeah.
is, it's not my job to be the professional of the content. It's my job to be professional of the message. So that's why I try to strive in my work. So for me, a lot of the work comes with telling the story of our professors and our researchers because we are a tier 1 research university at the University of Houston. But also, of course, we're a university educating our students and telling their stories from how they come up. Some of our students are in some very unique programs just to get started on their university experience, and then some of them do some very interesting research while they're here. So, telling that wide message of our college is really my task.
Yeah. And I think that that's probably challenging when you've got multiple audiences, right? When you've got, whether you're trying to recruit talent or recruit students, what are some of the tools or some of the nuances that you have to use as you are figuring out who your target audience is? What have you brought to U of H and particularly to the programs?
So it may seem very simple, but really the thing I've probably brought the most, I've only been here for about 8 months. The thing I've brought the most to our college is just being very vocal about telling our message. We have a lot of very intelligent people at our college, a lot of very prolific professors in their fields. They're well known in their fields, but a lot of times they get siloed in their research. You know, they're stuck behind those closed doors of their lab and their office, and they're doing all this excellent work, but they're not always very proactive in telling their stories. So me making sure that I'm digging to find what are the unique things they're doing. And of course, like I said, packaging that for our website, for our press releases, for social media, and actually making sure we're getting those messages out and that they don't stop at, I guess, the publication level. If anybody's familiar with scientific research, publications are kind of the name of the game. And those are great, but those are only hitting that target audience of the scientists, right? They're not getting a lot outside into the general public. And really my task has been to get our research in front of the general public just as much as we are in front of our scientific audience.
Yeah, I think that's so very important because it's almost like you're not B2B. Because I know when we've talked to some of our comms colleagues who are more business to business, especially in the oil and gas industry, it's so niche. But you've got the task of almost deciphering that and then making sure that everyday public on the street automatically can relate to what U of H is doing as a tier 1 university, right? And so that seems way more complicated than not.
And really for the University of Houston, for the longest time, and we don't necessarily love this label, but it is a good label to have. We've been the best kept secret when it comes to our area of the country in terms of our educational value that we provide our students. But we are at the point as a university, we don't want to be that secret anymore. We want to make sure everybody is well aware of the opportunities that are present, right around the corner for most of us, because we are a large commuter campus. But we want people to know you can come here and get a world-class education and still be within your neck of the woods. And quite frankly, us piggybacking off of our sports kind of helps. When you're in March Madness and you're in those college bowl games and all those things, all eyes are on you. So we kind of use it also to our advantage.
Yeah, no, I think that's so very true. So, Kristoffer, as you think about being a PRSA member and tapping into some of the local talent, are there any type of collaborations or partnerships you're looking for, especially for your college or for your team there in the communications department?
For me, I'm always open for new opportunities. I think one of the things that I definitely want to leverage as I'm getting more. I've gotten my feet on the ground, if you will, at the university. I want to kind of leverage our uh, Valenti School of Communication at the University of
Mhm.
Houston also, so we can get some of those up and comers in our communications field and get them into some real world experiences outside of necessarily the classroom environment. For me, that building is literally like the next building over, so it's not very hard to go and get some of those interactions, but it's just building those systems so that we're able to kind of work them into what we're doing. So, like I said, they can get the exposure, they can get the experience, so just to see what it's like um, in an actual communications environment. I will say, from my experiences, and I'm sure from all of our professionals, every environment is unique, even though the way you go about doing your job may be similar. It's just the nuances of the industries that you're in. So, kind of
Yeah.
helping them just be acclimated to that and just the processes of at least what we do at the University of Houston is something that I strive to do. But also, we're looking to partner with Houston Public Media. They're a great resource in the Houston area that a lot of people
Hmm.
don't know about. One of the things we want to use with them is implement their podcast facilities.
Yeah.
HPM has some really awesome studios for video production, but also audio production, and we're definitely in talks with them of kind of getting our message out there for them because I know they can provide full production, and that's something we look to leverage.
Yeah, no, you're so lucky that you've got that in house or at least right next to you. That's fantastic. So tell us, Kristoffer, switching gears just a little bit, tell us about your role with PRSA and what your committee is going to be doing and what you look forward to for 2026.
Yeah, so for 2026 for me, I am excited because this is kind of my first was foray into working with PRSA more consistently. Like I said, I came from K-12. I was more involved with TSPRA, which is kind of that pub ed at the grade level organization
Mm-hmm.
for communications. For me, it's time for me to spread my umbrella. So being in PRSA, I look to definitely be more involved. But for me, I'm actually going to be the chair of our scholarship committee, which
Great.
kind of is in line. I'm at the University of Houston. I'm close by, so people will be those young members will definitely be able to reach out to me. And we look to, like I said, get our young folks in opportunities to succeed. And I think one of the biggest parts of not only monetarily having that benefit of being able to get a PRSA scholarship, but just building the relations. I think, well, I don't think, from life experience, your relations are what are really going to carry you. Whether you
Yes.
decide to go into industry with a company or you decide to go on your own and build your own PR firm, it's the
Mm-hmm.
relationships that really sustain you and really elevate you. And one of the things I think people find they assume or assumptions that people make of our communicators are that our communicators love to communicate. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean like communicate like on a personal level. And from
Right.
what I've
Right.
seen in the industry, that's not often so. I know myself, I'm not necessarily somebody who's very, very outgoing at first, but once I get to know people, then I can do that. So I want to encourage our young folks and our folks in the PR community to not only be a communicator in your profession, but also be a communicator in your your collaborative life and being able to reach out
Yeah. So
that way.
true. Yeah, no, that's so very true. I always find it amazing when people were networking and they say, "Oh, well, I'm an introvert." And I'm like, "But you're in communications. How are you an introvert?" But it's true. A lot of us are just wired differently. What we do and how we show up professionally may seem one way, but maybe how we are on the inside is a little bit different. Well, I'm so excited about the scholarship committee, and I have to say, as a recipient, many, many, many years ago of a PRSA scholarship, the work that you guys do is so very important for our young folks coming up. And we have very active PRSSA members at our universities. So that's exciting. Kristoffer, how do you want people to connect with you? If we're looking to grow our network with our PRSA and communication colleagues in the area, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
think the best way to connect with me will be on my LinkedIn account. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. As a matter of fact, I think I was looking at the recap for 2025, and I think it said I kept in contact with you the most during the year. But I think LinkedIn is probably the best. If you ever pull me up, you'll see me in a portrait with red. I kind of like my scheme for my own personal branding is usually red and black. So if you type in Kristoffer Smith, you see red and black, you know it's going to be me.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, Kristoffer, 2026 is going to be incredibly exciting for all of us. And I just appreciate the work that you and your committee are doing for our organization. It makes a world of difference for everybody. And folks, I will definitely be putting Kristoffer's LinkedIn in the show notes so you can be sure to connect with him. Any parting words for us as we wrap up this episode?
I think the parting thing for me is, again, be outgoing. Get out there, meet people, mingle. Even if it's taking you outside of your comfort zone, that's fine. Get out there, experience different elements of communication, because it's going to open your eyes to new possibilities, and always be open to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. All right, Kristoffer, will you have a great 2026 and let all of our members know if they can help you with that scholarship committee?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right, that wraps up this episode of Practically Speaking Houston. Again, I'm your host, Veronica Sofer, and we love to connect with all of our members. So if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop us some comments. And if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of the official podcast for the Houston chapter of PRSA, Practically Speaking Houston.